Hey, Wayne.
Hello, Rich.
Good to meet you. Rick, how are you?
Ric Hickey.
Yes, from
Ric Hickey.
Cincinnati City. You want to stand or sit?
We'll sit for sure, yeah.
Okay.
You going to sit here?
That's all right with you. And this is my friend Jessie here. Is it all right if she takes a couple of pictures?
Thank you.
Yeah. So, thanks for taking a minute to sit and chat. I've followed you guys since the 80s. I've had love affairs with records years before. Soft bulletin transmissions on down the road. Yep, no problem. Never experienced anything like the Theyre where I can't listen to it enough. I play it over and over, trying to get inside it, trying to get it inside me, you know. It seems like you guys are kind of in a zone where like you cross over into another kind of thing there.
Well, I think, once I got my recording studio at my house, probably like 4 years ago now, we just, we're always doing music. We're always, if you could hear everything we do, it's just insane,
Yeah.
Because we don't always know we're going to make it. And that little synthesizer that you hear on almost all the tracks of the Theyre, when we were up recording with Sean at his studio up in New York, got all this crazy old gear,
Don't mind this.
and we were messing with this little synthesizer. He ended up just giving it to us after the session.
Yeah.
And Stephen and I were playing with it, and we always record. If we're playing around, we just record stuff.
Yeah.
It started to do something, I started to do something. We had this like weird song. We had this weird mood, and we figured out little by little why it was happening, because the synthesizer, it plays like a lot of old, analog synthesizers. It's not playing like a pure tone. It's playing a note, and you can kind of hone in on what the note is. But they play a lot of like tritones, and just a lot of weird noises come with it. And so it's very difficult for it to sit in just a normal. It doesn't sit like normal music, and it makes you not think of normal music. To me, I'm very like, like I hear music, and that's the mood I'm thinking in. And a lot of times, if I'm writing music, I don't know very much about like chords and stuff like that. So I write like simple things, and they'll go to songs that feel like, I don't know, like Do You Realize and stuff like that, where they have musical things to them. But if we write sometimes songs starting with music that become songs, they are always a little bit like more abstract, because you're not piecing it together like you don't know how to do it. That synthesizer made Stephen and I pick all these other sounds that they weren't based on notes and stuff. It was based on the sounds that work together, because they're all kind of a cluster of different sounds. So it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
It's the sort of music I think you can get trapped in it and only want to make that kind of music forever. So, of course, I don't think we will, because we're always searching for something, but it's magical, because you don't really know what it is that you're doing, and artists love that. There's
the uncharted Theyre.
When you do stuff for so long, you have so many things that you become familiar with, and the minute you're thrust into like the muck again, the darkness, you love that, because it's fun. You're exploring. I read in the liner notes to you guys just did the record store day release of the Seven Skies H3. The 24-hour song condensed.
Which I love, by the way. The whole thing, I didn't go online and listen to the whole 24 hours.
I haven't either.
But Seven Skies, I picked it up on record store day, and it's great.
It's a great little record. I know. I think that's why we felt we should put it out in a condensed form like that.
Yeah.
Our producer, Threadman, his son, was becoming old enough that he was starting to work with us in the studio with his dad. And he's probably listened to it more than anybody ever in the world. He's probably listened to it 6 or 7 times in its full length.
Yeah.
And he started to pick these little moments, saying, this is really the moment that is, there's a track on there, I think it's called like the Metamorphosis or something like that. And it goes on for 7 hours. It's a 7-hour piece of this cascading and collapsing, series of chords and melodies. And he took, the original thing was like a 9-minute version of that, and he sent it to me on a CD, and I was like, this is amazing. And Dave and he decided maybe we should do a double album of that, and then I had them do even a more condensed version. Like, let's try to do one record. I think it turned out amazing. I think some of those things, you know, they take on a different quality when they're going for a couple of hours. But I think that they're really great if they're absolutely short as well. So cool.
I think it was a Stephen quote in those liner notes where he said at the end of that process that he had no more ideas.
Well, sometimes we just have to work so much. You know, you're doing so much. You're starting with what you think of as like, here's an idea and here's the thing we're going to work on. But doing something like a 24-hour song where it's not just a couple of minutes of music. It's length. You're going. It's a lot to do. And you know, after we made our very first record in 1983, I felt like I had no more ideas too. Right. So here we are. You know. I think that really is the thing. It's like, you know, you don't really, if you have ideas, they'll show up in what you do. I think there's a mistake that a lot of people make, is that you have to have an idea before you get up and do something. And we know that that's not true. It's like, you don't know what to do, you certainly get up and do something. But if you have ideas, they will be in what you're doing. But if you sit around and wait for an idea before you do something, it doesn't happen. So I've learned a lot from being empty and in a panic. And I think even though I don't have any ideas, they come to you. You'll think of something, or you know, something will trigger something, and
I thought Seven Skies Age 3, it works. It's just brilliant, like 55-minute album.
I think it totally does. Otherwise, you know, I would play that in my car after they'd send me like the CD version of it, and sometimes Stephen would be in the car with me, and I'd be playing, and he'd be like, "What the fuck is this? This is awesome." Because it would be music that we made in the middle of this 3-hour thing, this little piece, that when you're there, you know, you're liking it and you're making it, but then you quickly move on to the next thing, and we hardly ever have that much time where we have something and then we just listen to it, like, oh, this is great. That was definitely one of those, because it had a deadline. There's a lot to do. I did hear these little pieces and be like, that's cool, and I'll be like, I know that's us, we did that.
Well, it's interesting to me that, like, after the fact, you built this 24-hour piece of music, and then to scale that back to a 1 hour, like an album.
Well, if someone would have told me, you know, that'd be much better on a little, you know, an hour-long thing, I'd be like, forget that, you know, 24 hours or nothing, you know. But I think, you know, just all you got to do is hear it, and you hear it that it works, And that's Dave Threadman and his son. They're, you know, they're listening, you know, and I think that's the, you know, when you're making music and you're creating it, that's great. But it's like you have to have a taster at the other end. You know, whenever you're making your soup, you know, you got to have someone taste it and let you know where you're at. And they are. They're always listening. Great.
Well, I saw you guys land the spaceship here. And I wonder, without giving too much away, what do you break out for Bonnaroo, if anything?
Well, I think we have a pretty big, elaborate stage show now. Some really great, big sort of inclusive video wall stuff. We have these new string LED lights that sort of play off in a million different directions, like a 3D sort of stage. We have a lot of big, like, blow-up props and things, and I come out in different suits and stuff. So, I don't know, we never think of it really like that, like we have to top the thing. I think a lot of it is just, we have an idea what we want to do, and let's just see if we can do it, and I don't know if it tops the other thing. Some of it is it's just another...
different every year.
Another version, and I think for some people, you're not going to top that experience. You know, if they're there with their friends, and it's... We played a show in Oklahoma City in 2006 at the Zoo Amphitheater there, and for whatever the reason, it was just a mega, beautiful, perfect show. You know, it was like, the weather was perfect, it was like everybody in town was there. It just felt good, and there's no way you can't really control that. You know, we're the band, and you hope everything else works, you know. So I think for some people tonight will be mega. I hope so.
Well, I know some of my favorite all-time experiences, any kind of concert experience I've had, some of the most exhilarating shows I've ever seen.
Well, thank you. And our audience is so great. You know, I mean, they really are. They're energetic and they give a lot of love. And, yeah. And for me, you know, that emotional part, it doesn't have that. It doesn't get you. You gotta be in there. Yeah. For sure.
Well, lastly, can I get your autograph from my girlfriend?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Her name is Michelle.
2 L's?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I used to be in a band years ago. We opened for you guys at Bogart's in Cincinnati.
Oh, awesome.
In May of '89. It was us and the Afghan Wigs, and then you guys.
Yeah. Well, you know, we used to be around Cincinnati quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
saw you guys at a little club called the Plaza right around that time.
Yeah.
But I heard
we were around, you know, at the Afghan
filled the place up. I didn't see you that night. I heard you.
Well, yeah. It was part of our, you know, we always had fun doing that. But yeah, I think we played with the Afghan Wigs when they did like their very first show.
Yeah.